Jim, there's a something that we've been bumping around, a concept that we've been talking about over the last couple days that isn't real clear in my head. It's about emotions and feelings and how it affects the immune system. And I know that thoughts can make you sick, but there was something else, another layer to that I thought would be good to talk about here.
Okay. So one of the things that we've been talking about, the archangelics, and begin to open up concepts of awareness. And one of those concepts that people ask questions about a lot of times is, what's the difference between a feeling and an emotion? And a lot of times there's, I've never heard really good answers to that question. But one of the things that is gotten clear is when the ego, the rational mind process of each of us over time was navigating its safety levels, its engagement. Do I fit? How do I do this? The rational mind created a aspect of measurement or sensation or sensing itself. And so it began to create definitions for what am I experiencing. So that's anger, and that's fear, and that's judgment. So all of these words are sound tones, and when you start to look at the nature of where we came from, which was not comfortable, war, survival, the rational mind created this whole construct called emotion. And so if you think about emotions, I'm going to define it this way for simple purposes, but it's not completely accurate, there's edges: jealousy, rage, anger, resentment, those kind of things. The heart, on the other hand, functions in feelings. And so appreciation, gratitude, happy, laughter, no edges. So if we just use that as a frame of reference for this, one of the things, and this is the context of the conversation, is how do people get sick? And so we've talked often about, it's really, you're happy and then you have a thought, wait, what's going on? This isn't good. And then you have an emotion, this isn't good. And if you hold that construct of this isn't good, I'm sad, I'm beat up, I'm not okay, it eventually drops into the body. But the expanded part is, if you really hold those emotions, what they deteriorate is the endocrine system of the body, the immune systems. So if you think about vibrations, you see color, but you only see a little slice of the color spectrum. There's a whole lot of vibration going on out here. Same thing with sound. You only hear certain sounds. So when you begin to have feelings in the body, generally using that definition, feelings feel good. I'm happy, I'm enjoying myself. Emotions in this same definition don't feel so good.
They have that edge.
But if you look at how mechanically we do things, we get insulted in life, then we don't know what to do with it, and we hang on to it. So it's that emotion, the vibration of the emotion, it's like an earthquake. It just simply rattles and everything eventually falls apart. So it's this spectrum that we don't pay attention to. We just go, oh, I was angry yesterday, but I'm over it.
So,
well, no, you're not.
So, like, there's that spectrum of colors that we see, and there's many others outside of that, and also sound. You're saying that's the same thing with emotions? We experience 10, but there's really 100?
Yeah. There's a whole wide spectrum. And some of these emotions, when you start to look at them energetically, it'd be almost like if you looked at them on a spectroscope, you see some of these emotions, the further out they get, when you look, you see a vibration, but then you see the vibration doubling up. And so it's as if there begins to be an awkward emotion and then another awkward emotion, and they start to compound. And when that compounding happens, in a way, if you ever had a caffeine high, there's an anxiety, there's a shakiness
Jittery
in the body, and you can't quite define it other than, well, that's a caffeine high. But in the emotional sense, there's the caffeine high as a manner, but then there's 2 or 3 other layers of vibrations that magnetically begin to bind. And so this is a place where I watch people say, I'm depressed, or I'm unhappy, and you say, well, what does that mean? It just doesn't feel right, they'll say, but we don't have a frame of reference. Say, I don't emotion right.
Right.
So if you said I don't emotion right, I'm being funny, but it's like, oh, okay, well, what is the emotions that I'm hanging on to? But the place where I get to play in the sleep space, I've been doing a lot of work here, and you start to look at how that emotional bandwidth couples electromagnetically the further away from neutral it gets, and it just begins to wear the immune system. It depends on the nature of the emotion, but you'll see it affect the thymus, you'll see it affect the thyroid, it'll affect the adrenals, different configurations, but they're beginning to be very much outside of the word I'm irritated or I'm really jealous about this. Well, you hold on to jealous, and all of a sudden there's 6 other things that begin to, and they all eat away at the immune system.
Connected to jealousy, like competition and fear and.
Yeah, it all becomes magnetic. It's like you look at people who are maybe arrogant as a definition. You see lots of other vibrational aspects to that person, and they're all sitting there shaking in their own different vibrational field. But it's the immune system that's really getting hammered.
But so then on the other side, conversely, to be well, you focus on the positive feelings in the heart.
Yeah.
To change that and to continue with well-being.
Yeah, and see that again. Let's go back to why those platforms of words in Mastering Alchemy are really the foundational piece of information. Is if you can begin to construct the same kind of alignments, certain, happy, seniority, well-being, appreciation, they all magnetically bind together, and they create a presentation. And with these changes that are coming, 2 sides, we talked about in another morning conversation, where these 2 earths or 2 stratas of consciousness, if you're really hanging on to ain't it awful and it's their fault and guilt, this is beginning to magnetize in that strata. This strata of well-being is being amped up, and one of the words is foundational, is permission. You're beginning to have permission to feel good, and that permission is going to start to help heal the body. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I'm getting it now.
Yeah.
A tool in level 2 that I still use regularly is the thought strings, and that helps me identify the emotion or the situation, whatever it is. Even it helps me identify what I want to create too, as well as what I want to dissolve. And the whole process of that exercise, the process with the pen in my hand and the writing it down, starts to decharge it.
Yeah.
Just the process of drawing those triangles.
Yeah, that begins to be that 8th ray. It's like, oh wait, I see this isn't where I want to be, and it all dissolves.
Yeah.
And so, but one of the ways that you might, talking to everybody, that you might play with it, it's a really simple game, is you ask yourself, what's the picture behind the picture? So, I'm angry. Okay, you're angry, but what else goes on when you're angry? And then what else goes on when you're frustrated because you're angry? Or what else? All of a sudden, you really stumble into the word. It's like, I feel left out. Oh, wow. So this may be the emotion, but here's the source, whatever it may be. So a really valuable tool is stop in neutral. Okay, something's going on. What's the picture behind the picture?
It's good.
So try it out. I think you'll find it has great value.